This one is called Doing a Cordelia, and I bet that a lot of people find themselves doing a Cordelia from time to time when they're told to care about something. It could be anything, but the obvious one getting about at the moment is what's happening over in the Ukraine, or what's happening over in Ukraine. A very serious subject, of course. That's not what this episode's about. I could have picked something else, when someone tells you to care about what's happening over in Ethiopia, or Madagascar, just having a bit of a famine at the moment, or in 100 other places. All right. Now, how does one react sometimes, not myself or you, but someone else? How does one react when someone says, comes up to you and says, we need to really make a show of how much it is affecting us, what's happening over in Ukraine? Now, look, what you really do in real life is you kind of put on a show, that sounds bad, but what I'm getting at with this is I'll mention how Cordelia reacted, which you probably already know, when she was presented with this situation. Her father did something terrible, really. The person who is telling you to care about Ukraine over there, that person's not doing anything terrible. That person is doing something good. But the point is, Cordelia, her father did something terrible. Moment of kingly vanity, shall we say. He called his 3 daughters before him and said to them, and this is a terrible thing to do to your kids, tell me which one of you loves me the most, and if you know the play, it doesn't matter if you don't. I don't know every Shakespeare play, but I know this one. The first 2 daughters, who didn't love the king the way they should anyway, he probably deserved it, doesn't matter, but they went overboard, because they knew there might be a slice of the kingdom on the line for this one. So one of them said that she loves him to the moon and back, and the other one said that she loves him to the bottom of the Mariana Trench and back up again. But then came Cordelia's turn, and she ended up doing a Cordelia. She had no other choice because her name was Cordelia. All right. And now she did love her father, but what she actually said was this. Her father asked her, how much do you love me, Cordelia? Look how much those guys love me. And he's probably, winking to his courtiers and all that sort of stuff. This is great, isn't it? It's great being a king, Anyway, and she said, because she was appalled at the behaviour of her sisters for a start, and she was off-put, by the fact that her father was telling her to tell him how much she cared. You're always going to have a negative reaction about that. She said, I love you as much as I do, and no more. Which is absolutely true. Now, as it turned out, that was quite a lot. But it's the way she expressed it that counts here. And that's not what her father wanted to hear. He wanted to hear that she would go to the moon and back, and then down to the Mariana Trench, the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and back up again. so that she's beating the other two, because he actually did like Cordelia. He loved Cordelia the most, and she loved him the most too. But as it turns out, she probably did love. She did. She loved him twice as much as the other two did, at least. But she said, "I love you as much as I do, and no more." Now, I bet a lot of people find themselves having that sort of reaction when they're told or enjoined or forced by people around them to say how much they care about all sorts of things. Ukraine, it's a bad subject to be talking about now. Maybe I should do this podcast in a couple of years after all that's in the past, but you might have all these sorts of people just hammering you to sign petitions, that are joining in the chorus with Anthony Albanese, for example, who's over in Ukraine at the moment, or was recently. The way Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister, if you don't know him, said that he's shocked about what he is seeing over there. And he doesn't mean geopolitically, he means emotionally, I think. Shocked, emotion, shocked. And people say, yes, and are you shocked too? And you might say, I'm as shocked as I am, and no more. Now, are you being a bad person when you say that? People say, what are you talking about? This is terrible. And you might be doing a Cordelia. And you might, and if they push it too hard, you might actually go the wrong way and say, I don't give a shit. Really? Well, I do, but I don't give any more of a shit. Sorry for the French. I don't give any more of a shit about this than you do about the 3 wars that preceded this. I didn't see you. You may say this. It's a very tricky episode to make. This one. You might react negatively and say, I didn't see the Ukrainians giving a hoot about what was happening in Ethiopia last year. You might end up saying things like that, which actually come out really wrong. But what you're doing is you're doing a Cordelia, I think. You kind of, I care about what's happening to the people in Ukraine as much as I do, and no more, is kind of what you're saying, which doesn't come out right. And I think there is a lot of commentary. I think a lot of people are having that sort of reaction. But as I say, maybe this isn't the right time to be making this YouTube episode, called Doing a Cordelia. But I bet a lot of people find themselves doing a Cordelia. A lot. When they are told that they should be caring more than they seem to be. Something like that. Probably not the right time to make that episode, but there it is.